Are you listening?
Breakthrough Media. Truth always wins out in the end because it outlives falsehood.
I can't believe Don Lemon actually once said this.
It's time now for some tough love on the subject.
The reason there is so much violence and chaos in the black precincts is the disintegration of the African American family.
He's got a point. In fact, he's got more than a point. Bill?
Raised without much structure, young black men often reject education and gravitate towards the street culture, drugs, hustling, gangs. Nobody forces them to do that. Again, it is a personal decision.
He is right about that too. But in my estimation, he doesn't go far enough. Because black people, if you really want to fix the problem, here's just 5 things that you should think about doing. Here's number 5. Pull up your pants. Number 4 now is the N-word. Now number 3. Respect where you live. Start small by not dropping trash, littering in your own communities. I've lived in several predominantly white neighborhoods in my life. I rarely, if ever, witness people littering. I live in Harlem now. It's an historically black neighborhood. Every single day I see adults and children dropping their trash on the ground when a garbage can is just feet away. Just being honest here.
Open your minds. Even if you look at our community, all the communities that's messed up are all ran by Democrats. Then when you look at the places that run by Republicans, it's nice, it's clean, people are living, they got jobs. But then when you look what a Democrat did, AOC, took away 20,000 jobs in New York City. That's 20,000 people that could have been out of the streets, 20,000 people that would have been able to support their family. Why would you take that opportunity away? You have to think about that. If these people really care about you, when I tell people, if somebody cares about you, they want to put you in a position not to need them.
Just being honest here. Wow, I didn't know he had that in him. If he were to say this today, they would say Don Lemon is far right. They would say he's racist. And they might even suggest he's a white supremacist despite not even being white. And I really agree with him about cleaning up after yourself. I lived in Los Angeles for about 7 or 8 years, and just watching trash build up and build up and build up, and tents and homelessness just grow to the point where streets I used to have to walk to go to work were no longer even walkable or safe anymore, and nobody seemed to care. All of the late night hosts like Jimmy Kimmel, Bill Maher, Trevor Noah, Seth Meyers, many of whom live or work in Los Angeles, they would never talk about it. In fact, if you remember, Chris Rock at the Golden Globes actually joked about how they weren't allowed to talk about it.
What a night!
Yeah, I don't know, Steve. I'm a little conflicted. You know, I was driving here tonight and seeing the terrible homeless problem in L.A.
Thank you, Chris. So many stars. Oh my God, there's Brad Pitt.
And this is the most annoying thing about the Democratic Party today and liberalism. It's not even like it was during the Obama era or it has been for the last 10, 20 years. It's not like you're even allowed to tell the truth, help people, believe in self-accountability, talk about fixing things that you actually own in your own community. You're not allowed to do that anymore. That's considered right-wing. How dare you even mention that? Which just shows you where the logic, common sense, and honest people are flocking. Because even something as simple as free speech that Noam Chomsky has always talked about. Take a look.
I do not think that the state ought to have the right to determine historical truth and to punish people who deviate from it. I'm not willing to give the state that right, even if they happen to
But are you denying that the gas chambers ever existed?
But I'm saying if you believe in freedom of speech, you believe in freedom of speech for views you don't like. I mean, Goebbels was in favor of freedom of speech for views he liked, right? So was Stalin. If you're in favor of freedom of speech, that means you're in favor of freedom of speech precisely for views you despise. Otherwise, you're not in favor of freedom of speech. There's 2 positions you can have on freedom of speech, and you can decide which position you want. With regard to my defense of the utterly offensive, the people who express utterly offensive views, I haven't the slightest doubt that every commissar says, you're defending that person's views. No, I'm not. I'm defending his right to express them. The difference is crucial, and the difference has been understood outside of fascist circles since the 18th century.
Is there anything like objectivity, or scientific objectivity, reality? As a scientist,
look, I'm not saying I defend the views. Look, if somebody publishes a scientific article, which I disagree with, I do not say the state ought to put him in jail, right?
All right, but you don't have to support him right away and say, you know, I support him just for the sake of everybody saying that, you know, whatever he wants to say.
Suppose this guy is taken to court and charged with falsification then I'm going to defend them even if I disagree.
But he
and that's what
wasn't
happened.
taken to court.
Oh, you're wrong.
Even that's considered controversial now. Him, J.K. Rowling, people I never thought I would align myself with, are fighting to stop cancel culture because it's a progressive, spiraling ideology, and it's on the right wing. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of false conservatives who claim they're free speech who aren't. Trust me, there's more than you think there are. But it's like, where does this end? Are we just going to cancel everyone for saying everything, cancel every sports team, syrup bottle? It's a little ridiculous and counterproductive. But let's get back to that old Don Lemon clip.
Just being honest here. Number 2, finish school. You want to break the cycle of poverty? Stop telling kids are acting white because they go to school or they speak proper English. Over the course of a career, a college grad will make nearly $1 million more than a high school graduate. That's a lot of money. And number 1, and probably the most important, just because you can have a baby, it doesn't mean you should, especially without planning for one or getting married first. More than 72% of children in the African American community are born out of wedlock. That means absent fathers. And the studies show that lack of a male role model is an express train right to prison. And the cycle continues. So please, black folks, pay close attention to the hip-hop and rap culture that glorifies everything I just mentioned. Thug and reprehensible behavior. A culture that is making a lot of people rich, just not you.
It's incredible. Literally what he just said would be considered a far, far right-wing or conservative opinion. And to be honest, what he says is what black conservatives, Hispanic conservatives, white conservatives, Asian conservatives, all conservatives of every race, religion, and gender, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, atheist, that's what they've come to believe in. Self-accountability, self-awareness, taking care of your own community. They want a safe, clean environment, not a disgusting, degenerate, declining city like you're seeing in all liberal cities, who instead of cleaning up after themselves and getting right internally, want to defund or disband the police like that's going to change anything. How did Don Lemon go from that to shaming Terry Crews for wanting to talk about black children who are losing their life?
When you look at the parents of these little kids who are mentioning, saying, hey man, why aren't they speaking up for me too?
But here's what I have to say. The Black Lives Matter movement was started because it was talking about police brutality. If you want an all Black Lives Matter movement that talks about gun violence in communities, including, black communities, then start that movement with that name. But that's not what Black Lives Matter is about.
Do these people actually believe themselves? Do they have somewhere deep down inside where they realize what they're doing is incredibly wrong? Does he know, of course, what he said here is fantastic advice that would save millions of lives, and what he's preaching now to not only the black community, but the entire American community and the world who watches him, what he's preaching now is horrible advice, counterproductive, downward spiraling ideology on every level of politics and social life that is leading to chaos in our country? Is it that important to these people that Donald Trump loses? They'll do anything. They'll lie to their own people. They'll lie to our country. They'll lie to the world.
Some are so blinded by their hatred of Donald Trump that they forget decades of training in their own field.
At what point are you allowed to say what Don Lemon used to say? And as they keep getting more and more dishonest and deranged, isn't it interesting how they want to get rid of free speech more now than ever? They want to get rid of debates and discussions. They see Ezra Klein, one of the leaders at Vox, progressive liberal publication, is making his case for why free speech and debate is actually a bad idea. It's very simple. It's because they don't have the moral high ground. They don't have the intellectual high ground. They don't have the common sense or the logical high ground. And the only way for them to win this ideological battle that's happening in our country and in the world is to censor, silence, and destroy anybody who disagrees with them and cover them up so they look like the only voices out there. And luckily for them, almost every social media company, almost every television station, almost every university, and almost every celebrity is under their mind control. But that's not enough. They want everything. They want Fox News gone, Newsmax, OANN, so it's only them. And then they'll be right, and then they'll win. Give me a break. Congratulations, Don Lemon, for telling the truth here. And I also want to give a compliment to somebody who I disagree with on a lot. LeBron James for talking about what Terry Crews talked about, the kids who are being unrightfully murdered. And although it's not what groups like Black Lives Matter want to talk about, which overshadows and outnumbers what they're protesting about, I appreciate LeBron James actually caring about human life and children, unlike people who sold out for a paycheck or a political movement like Don Lemon, who actually, apparently, used to tell the truth and used to care. Hopefully he gets back to those roots roots, and hopefully our entire country gets back to those roots, because America is an amazing place. Millions of people want to immigrate here. Millions of people do immigrate here, and they appreciate America. They respect America. And in many ways, for a long time, we've been the envy of the world because of our freedom, because of our prosperity, because of our opportunities. And most people know that. So let's not ruin ourselves from the inside out, and let's get right in all communities, because this hatred, wickedness, dishonesty, and divisive media has run its course, and it's 1,000 times more dangerous than the stuff they try to brainwash you into thinking is dangerous. Just tell the truth, please, media. Stop the nonsense. People are catching on. And most importantly, to everybody watching, have a beautiful day. Become a Facebook supporter or support me on Patreon. Sign up to my free email list, or don't do either of those. Just have a beautiful day. I'll be back with more videos.
Breakthrough Media.
There is a class of colored people who make a business of keeping the troubles, the wrongs, and the hardships of the Negro race before the public. Having learned that they are able to make a living out of their troubles, they have grown into the settled habit of advertising their wrongs, partly because they want sympathy, and partly because it pays. Some of these people do not want the Negro to lose his grievances because they do not want to lose their jobs. And I would add, and the ability to create new ones, as we have seen in recent years.
Breakthrough Media.
Connor Devlin is never going to give up anything. He's only going to enjoy it when your boss finally snaps.
Funny thing about the blacks.
Excuse me?
All your huffing and puffing really gets you nowhere, does it?
What are you talking about?
You run around the street with your bandanas and your lowriders, and you flash your, what do you call it? Your cheddar and your guns, and all you end up doing with them is killing each other. Know what you are?
What?
Predictable. If I wanted to kill a black behind bars, know who I'd get to do it? Another black.
Boom!